Soon after Jesus' triumphal entry into Jerusalem, events take a decidedly grim turn. In just a moment, we will hear the passion of our Lord, and as we do so, let's not only listen with our ears and minds, let's enter in upon the stage, engage the text with the imagination of our hearts. And I invite us to do so from several vantage points. First, from the perspective of the authorities, the religious authorities, chief priests of the temple, and the political authorities, the governor and his representatives from Rome. Authorities bear the mantle of responsibility, and at some level their job is to maintain order. And their primary allegiance may be to Yahweh, the God of Israel, or to Caesar, the God of Rome. But in practice, their allegiance is to the law, religious laws, political laws, to abide by and uphold proper adherence to the teachings and the traditions. And if your objective is to keep the peace, you will not be glad to have a new teacher, a challenger in your midst. You will not welcome one who threatens to undermine your authority, expose your hypocrisy. So not only must you get rid of the problem, you must do so in a way to retain the support of the people. You have to come out of this looking good with clean hands. So you jockey about, just like the political and religious authorities of today or any day. You take the temperature of the people, keep an eye on the polls. You want to win points for those things deemed popular, and make sure the blame, if there is blame, falls on someone else. You might employ pawns to do the dirty work, to take the fall when necessary. So you spin the story, deny complicity. Whatever else, control the troublemaker, even if he speaks truth, especially if he is truth. We might gaze next upon the crowds, and perhaps we're among them. The crowds that welcome Jesus in, chanting Hosanna, and will now turn against him, spitting, "Crucify him," at fever pitch. Crowds are like that. They're fickle, powerful too. As a river surges and swells and leaps the bank, opens new paths, they're a real force with which to reckon. Crowds do not have much acuity or clarity of purpose. They can as easily crush you as lift you up. And since they're comprised only of masses in a moving current, they flow toward the path of least resistance. There is no locus for deliberate thought or reflection, so they can be easily manipulated, redirected. Crowds are really humanity at its worst, a headless humanity. In their surging and in their wake, we witness a terrible, dumb inevitability. Within the crowd, even before the crowd gathers early in the morning in the garden or waiting outside the court, we turn our gaze upon the disciples. Perhaps we're not among the crowds. Perhaps we're with the disciples, one of Jesus' people, who could not stay awake, could not stay present or endure the pain, who fall far short of their own intentions, who did not stay true to their own love for Jesus. That's what's happening for the disciples. We do that, or I'll own it for myself. I do that. I'm all in. I'm committed, baptized, faithful. And then I betray my own deepest intentions and desires. By what I do or do not do, I betray myself, those I love. I betray Christ. And among these characters, even those with names, Judas, Peter, Pilate, nobody really owns up to being there or being part of this. Most sort of claim to be a victim of circumstance, reluctant, as if they're by accident. The temple priests tell the Roman rulers it's on you. And Pilate passes the buck back to Herod before washing his hands. My guess, those in the crowd went home at the end of the day and said, yeah, I was there. It was pretty intense, but I was in the back. I wasn't really all that present. It wasn't what I thought, what I had in mind. And the disciples? Nowhere to be found. So we turn our gaze upon Jesus. Jesus is clear, present, awake in every moment. Jesus steps forward, steady, with intention, with heart. It is for this hour that I have come. All that he does, Jesus does for us in a willing embrace. His life is not taken from him. Jesus offers himself, gives himself willingly. Jesus stands God's love unmasking the hierarchies. He gathers his friends for supper, one last farewell, goes out to the garden to say his prayers, faces his persecutors. He does not simply stop breathing. Rather, he commends, gives over his spirit to God. Jesus puts himself in our hands. He offers himself. Here am I. For us to do with him what we will. To follow him, love him, betray him, fear and betray him even as we love him. Here am I. I am love. I am with you. Perhaps no one else was quite there, but Jesus is there. Jesus is not fickle or manipulative, does not sleep through even a moment. Jesus is steady, present. He has his moments of weakness, sorrow, regret, and he stays on course all the way to the end. Jesus becomes what we all fear and all deny: nakedness, exposure, vulnerability, and failure. And in his so doing, we now see in his flesh, in his blood, his sweat, his tears, we now see that his love, the love of God, it's not deterred or diminished or conditional ever. Not ever. Not even by our violence. The love of God for the whole gathered crowd of humanity is everlasting. Father, forgive them. They know not what they're doing. Here am I. I am with you. I'm here for you, even to the ends of the earth and the end of the ages. So now let's hear the story.